Hi and welcome. My name is Georgina Canthu and welcome to my video. So, my purpose for making this video is to turn in my week 7 project assignment for my digital literacy class that I'm attending online at American Military University. I want to start off by saying thank you to Ms. Shaken, my professor, for all your feedback and responses over the course of this last 7 weeks. And I want to thank you for allowing me to do a YouTube video instead of a PowerPoint presentation. Now, if you're wondering why I chose to do that, it's because I thought that it would be a very fun challenge for me to do this instead. Because I thought, hey, I could learn how to edit, I could learn how to make a video, and those are some skills that I have had some interest in, but have never actually pursued before this. So thank you. I feel that this will add way more value to me than making a PowerPoint presentation, which I have made many times before in other courses in school. So thank you so much. This video specifically covers my topic, which is the gut microbiome and its impact or effect on mental health. The reason I chose this topic is very near and dear to my heart. Last year, over a period of 8 months, I suffered with depression and high functioning anxiety. For 8 months, I felt in such a way that I have never felt before. I was extremely sad, felt very weak, lost interest in almost anything, and to say that I was hopeless about life in general is an understatement. Prior to that, I was always that person who thought, oh, people who are depressed are just weak-minded, they don't think positively, and going through it myself was such a humbling experience because you genuinely feel like you have absolutely no control over your mind, over your thoughts, over your emotions. I mean, talk about me crying almost every day. Talk about me not even being able to muster up the energy or desire to wash my dishes that have been in the sink for 2 days. It impacted every single aspect of my life, my work life, my relationships with family and friends, my relationship with myself, my work ethic, my motivation, my personality. I was not even the same person. I genuinely couldn't even recognize myself. And now, thankfully, being out of that state, looking back, I can't believe that I thought the thoughts that I had. I cannot believe that I felt the way I did. It's just a feeling so deep. It's insane. And so to get myself out of that funk, I did research and figured out what the gut microbiome was. And so my hope for this video is to teach you all that maybe it isn't your life circumstance that could have you with an illness like anxiety or depression. Maybe it's other health factors that you're not thinking or noticing. So I hope that this video really adds a lot of value to your life, and I hope that you could take something from this and apply it to your life. Let's get started. For the remainder of this video, I will be answering 5 questions that I proposed in my week 2 project plan. These questions will hopefully give you a better idea of what the gut microbiome is, how it affects you, and how you can make it better to improve your life. So, question number 1 is, what is the gut microbiome? Question number 2 will be, what is gut-brain axis? Number 3 is, why is the gut microbiome crucial to your health? And or does a weak microbiome affect mental health in other people or field? And finally, what steps can you take to better improve your gut microbiome? Let's get started with number 1. So, what is the gut microbiome? Bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other living things are referred to as microorganisms or microbes for short. Thus, the gut microbiome is really all of the bacteria, viruses, and fungi combined in your gut. For example, our bodies are actually filled with millions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi, and they are all collectively known as the microbiome. Believe it or not, there are actually more bacterial cells in your body than human cells. I don't know if you ever heard the term, you're made up of cells, you're mostly cells. That's actually not true. You're mostly bacteria, which is really weird to think, but I find that very interesting. There are roughly 40 million bacterial cells. 40 trillion bacterial cells in your body and only 30 trillion human cells. That means you actually are more bacteria than human. Okay, so now that we know that we are mostly made up of bacteria, we could ask questions like, okay, well, why does that matter? Like, how does this impact me? So in order to move on to that question, we would first have to define what is the gut-brain axis. This is a topic that has really become popular in research in the last decade, and it's very interesting to find out what it is. So the gut-brain axis is a communication system that integrates neural, hormonal, and immunological signaling between the gut and the brain, offering the intestinal microbiota. And remember, microbiota is bacteria, viruses, and fungi in your gut, and its metabolites a potential route through which it could access the brain. So basically, this is saying that the brain can send messages to the gut, but the gut can also send messages to the brain. It is a bi-directional system. And you could think of it as like an access road for the intestinal microbiota to reach the brain. So now you could think, okay, so if my microbiota can reach my brain, then this has a way bigger impact on my health than I thought it did, right? Very interesting. Your brain controls so many of your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and if your gut has access to it, it's probably pretty important to find out more about this topic. You can kind of think of the gut and the brain and its bi-directional relationship as like two friends who rub off on each other. You know, has someone ever come into the room feeling very stressed and you start to feel stressed? That's exactly the same thing. So clearly this is very important. Let's move on to our third question. Why is the gut microbiome crucial to your health? Well, there are multiple reasons for this. We'll start with one. Your gut microbiome is responsible for multiple functions in your body. In fact, as stated in an article posted on the National Library of Medicine, the microbiome constitutes the last human organ under active research. That's right, your gut microbiome is actually considered an organ now. This only raises the importance of the topic. The second reason on why the gut microbiome is crucial to your health is that some of the functions of the gut microbiome are bowel movements. This is huge. Bowel movements are huge. So many people don't realize that you're actually supposed to have a bowel movement after each meal, or at least 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. If you're having a bowel movement every 3 to 4 days, or even worse, or even 1 bowel movement a day, that is not as healthy as you think it is. If you even think it's healthy, that is not normal, and maybe potentially your gut microbiome can be the issue. So, digestion of food, absorption of nutrients. Again, all of these are major important important functions your body needs to do for your survival. And according to an article posted on Sirius, in the past few years, the relationship of gut dysbiosis, I'm going to pause here and say that gut dysbiosis just means an imbalance in the gut, like your microflora is not at the normal level that's unique to you. Anyways, the relationship between gut dysbiosis to disease conditions have been established. There is a bi-directional relationship, just like I mentioned earlier, between the two entities, and studies notice a specific microbe for every disease developed, especially in illnesses and mental health. That's right, there has literally been specific microbes seen for specific illnesses, especially mental illnesses. Now, this is a big alarm. This is a big deal. Let us continue. Here are some other examples of how the human microbiome impacts health and diseases. It helps with the modulation of bone mass density, promotion of angiogenesis, development and training of the immune system, which your immune system is what fights, diseases or illnesses, so that's very important. Biosynthesis of vitamins and amino acids. This is big. Amino acids are protein, and protein is in every cell of your body. So this is a big deal. And modification of the nervous system, and also modification of appetite regulation. So let's move on to the next question. What is the link between gut health and mental health? Now, this is obviously where I wanted to get to next. Very important to me, and hopefully to you. So, the gut microbiome plays a key role in sending signals to the brain, like we established earlier. The gut microbiome can synthesize protein amino acids. Protein is a critical component of your body. Every cell in your body has and needs protein. You need protein in your diet to help your body repair cells and make new ones. And protein is so important for growth, especially in children, pregnant women, teens. Another link between gut health and mental health is that human findings have shown increased bacterial translocation in mood disorders, such as depression. So, to explain a little bit more about that, there was a study done, and this is actually the most popular study done on the gut microbiome, and it's linked to depression. And in this study, they took fecal samples, poop samples, of 30 healthy control groups, and I believe it was 46 people who were diagnosed with depression. Now, these people were diagnosed with depression through taking depression surveys, tests, and if their number was above a certain score, they were considered depressed. And after doing a bunch of DNA sequencing testing on these samples, fecal samples, they found that the microbiome and microflora in the group that had depression was more diverse than the microbiome and microflora in the healthy control group. Big article. Like, this is the article that gets literally cited in other articles about gut microbiome. So, the composition and diversity of bacteria between healthy and depressed patients has shown significant disparity, with the depressed group showing mostly Firmicutes, Bacteroides, and Actinobacteria in the gut. Now, these three bacteria are just fancy names for some of the major bacteria species found in the gut. And those specific 3 had a huge difference in the healthy control group and the depressed group. So, does a weak gut microbiome affect mental health in all people or only a few? This was actually a very tough question to answer, and I actually couldn't really find an answer. Your gut microbiome is affected by so many things: diet, sleep quality, antibiotics, exercise, stress, illnesses, disease, other factors like chemicals put in food, there's so much. Oh, and genetics. How could I forget that? Genetics also plays a role in it. And believe it or not, a mother's microbiome affects her fetus's microbiome a lot, even after birth. So it is something that is partly genetic, but obviously all these other external factors impact it and play a role later on in life. So it is very hard to say, because on top of all these factors, every single person's microbiome is unique to them, because obviously no one has this exact same DNA, and then no one has the exact same external factors playing a role in it in the exact same way. So this is something that could differ. Maybe your next door neighbor has a poorer, sleep habits than you, but negative sleep habits affect you way more than they do your neighbor. I personally know that if I get 6 hours of sleep, I feel extremely fatigued, but yet I have friends who could sleep 6 hours and feel at their prime. So everything really is unique to the individual. Unfortunately, I don't really have a specific answer for this. I was not able to find it through my research. This brings us to the final question. What steps can you take to improve your gut microbiome? Well, this isn't actually that difficult. It's actually what people tell you for weight loss and for a bunch of other stuff. One is diet. Avoid a high-fat diet. Avoid a diet high in sugar. These play a huge role in inflammation because they could cause inflammation in your gut. And because of that gut-brain axis, inflammation in your gut can and will lead to inflammation in your brain. And this has been linked to depression. Inflammation is linked to depression. So basically an American diet, avoid that. It was said that Mediterranean diets are possibly the best, high in omega fatty acids, fish, vegetables, fruits, white meat. So nothing that you haven't heard before, I'm sure. Another thing is exercise. Very important for your gut microbiome. Sleep. Have a good, proper sleep. Figure out what works for you, how much you need. What do you need to do? Do you need to sleep in a room that's completely dark? Do you need a better pillow? Do you need it cold or a little bit warmer? Figure out what that is for you. Another is probiotics. Probiotics are packed with live bacteria that will positively affect your gut microbiome. I know that for me, taking a probiotic pill has really helped with my bowel movements a lot. And sleep has also helped with, sleep was actually one thing that helped a lot with my depression. I always slept 6 hours, and then when I tried doing my research to figure out how to get out of depression, I experimented by forcing myself to sleep a minimum of 8 hours each night, and those extra 2 hours of sleep a night made tremendous effects on my mental health. So I'd say give all of these steps a go. Thank you for watching my video. unfortunately, we've come to the end. I really hope that this video has given you some new information, maybe that you didn't know before, or has provided just further insight into a topic you kind of have already heard about. I really hope that you're able to take this information with you and apply it to your real life on a day-to-day basis. And I would love to know if anything worked for you. As always, I'm thankful for my professor for all her help, and I'd appreciate any feedback on this video. Bye.